All right, hello everyone. Today I wanted to cover some of the stuff that I've been working on. I want to make some corrections from my last video and explain what I was doing wrong and why I was wrong, as well as demo some of the front-end goodness that I got working for actually moving characters around. So to pick up where we left off last time, I was debugging the A-star pathing algorithm that was basically working perfectly fine for the library that I chose, but my version of it was not, and I could not for the life of me figure it out. So this is basically what it looks like. This is a little bit faster now. I have some optimizations here, but theirs just was like blowing mine out of the water, and I'm like, what is going wrong here? And I was just chasing my tail, going in circles. After I ended the stream, maybe 1 minute after, or 10 minutes after rather, I realized I'm not using the same data set, which is like, it's not even like a rule because it's just so obvious when you're benchmarking two different systems, you got to use the same data. So what I ended up doing was going to my test and basically adding the obstacles. So again, with the A-star pathing algorithm, there's things in the way, and the more things in the way, the more work that the algorithm has to do. And I was not doing that for the library that I was porting from. So now when we do it, I'm almost positive mine's going to be much faster. Nope, I didn't enable something here. Test A-star. Oh man, this is going to be a repeat, isn't it? Obstacle nodes. Oh man, is this going to be a repeat? I just ran this like a second ago. Oh, you know what? That's not the right one. Benchmark A-star. This is the one. Again, not using the same data set. Get different results. Fancy that. So, benchmark A-star. We are using MyLevel just to get the obstacle nodes implementation stuff, and then we're going to run their test, and then it should be slower than mine. And the reason it's slower than mine and not the same now, thank you, is because I made some optimizations to their version of it. First and foremost, when I was doing the benchmarking, I noticed a lot of the time was spent in get index, so trying to look up the nodes, the neighbor nodes, or the visited nodes that it's going through. And it was using basically all of the obstacles. It iterates through all the obstacles every time, whereas in mine, I don't need to do that because I can reference it directly using a O1 lookup of just the X and Y basically this right here. So I don't need to have to walk through the visit, and I just renamed it to visited points, but I don't need to walk through the list of all of the unwalkable points. I basically just say, hey, is this even walkable at this X and Y coordinate? Yes, it is, or no, it's not, and then I return. So that helped, I think, get about maybe 10,000 extra iterations in 1 second of running. So right now I'm 27,000 iterations in a second. Theirs is 9,800. The second optimization I did is, if you noticed, and I want to make this correction. I was rewatching my video from the last time to add timestamps, and I said that structs don't cost anything when you're passing. That's totally wrong. They absolutely cost if you're not passing by pointer. I was thinking maps and other things that pass by pointer automatically under the hood. But if you have a big node or a big value with a bunch of other values in it, and you're passing it by it's going to get passed by value if you don't use the pointer notation. So I changed all of my points to use pointers. That does get me another, I think, 5,000 iterations per second on top of theirs. So yeah, mine is now running at 27,900 per second. And yeah, it's pretty fast. I'm happy with it. And I did have one concern, like, okay, so if I'm using pointers, that means it's going to be allocating on the heap, whereas their version will be on the stack. Does that mean that when it comes time to garbage collect, is mine going to end up being actually slower in the long term? And I tested, and it turns out it's not, which I'm not really sure why. Just I figured I'm using more heap stuff, that it should be basically doing more allocations and require more work out of the garbage collector. But if we do runtime.gc, basically force a garbage collection after each iteration of running the path, and we do it on mine too, which is benchmark get path, yes, and we do runtime.gc, and we run the test, we should see mine's a lot slower, but theirs is even slower. So hey, whatever. So yeah, I'm not too worried. There may be some weird cases where over time it would cause mine to have more GC time spent than if I use theirs. But again, theirs has this, since they're using instance properties or properties of the object, they basically have to recreate the map every single time, whereas mine is a immutable object. So everything is done inside of the methods that I'm calling. So once I leave those methods, it basically is done, and all the references to that data should be gone. So that helps keep that down. So yeah, that's pretty much the changes I made. Again, pretty happy. Let me get rid of these GC calls. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the benchmarking and the stuff I was doing wrong. So yes, to reiterate, always use the same data when you're benchmarking two different systems. It shouldn't have to be said. I don't know. This is literally the first time I've ever made that mistake in my life. So hey, and you all got to share on it. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at the client. So I ended up porting all of that pathing stuff to TypeScript, and at first I was getting super weird results. Like, I was making it to the destination, but for the life of me I couldn't figure out why it was going different routes. And this is probably one of the major concerns when you're using two different languages, is you're going to have non-determinism between those, especially once you start introducing float values, because floats are just awful, and JavaScript's implementation of floats are even worse. So keeping those, basically not having to use floats is really going to save me, or be the reason I can even do this in Go. If I had to use floats for Unreal as well, it's going to require some kind of massaging and stuff I would probably have to learn about way more than I want to about floats. So again, I thought it was the issue with the client and the server giving different paths, that that floats were involved, because I was doing math absolute. What is it? It's on the Manhattan distance check, which I can't for the life of me file. There it is. Oh, distance. So I was calling math absolute, which I thought would be converting it to, again, it's just a number in JavaScript, which could be a float. So I tried to do like two fixed, and then you can like basically how many decimal points after the value. You can kind of limit those, and I thought I would try that, and I was getting a little better results, but it was still just a little bit different, and it was driving me absolutely nuts, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was until I stepped through a debugger, and I came across this one part of points. This is the list that keeps track of visited points, and I was doing this dot points is equal to this dot points dot splice, and I didn't notice that last statement where it says returning the deleted elements. So basically I was when I was removing the points that I no longer cared about, I was resetting the list to only the points that I didn't care about, which I was surprised it even solved it, but I figured the way that it's going through it, it's just going to try different points, and even though the points are bad, it's eventually going to find it, and it did. I think there was a couple of cases where it did get stuck in loops, which kind of makes sense because it would never be able to solve it. So yeah, never, if you're using splice, do not assign it to the same value unless you want the thrown away. And I can't remember, I think there's another one called slice. The beginning index of the portion of the array, if the start is undefined, that says, returns a copy of a section of an array. So this one returns kind of what you want, which I mentally must have thought like, oh, splice and slice, yeah, they're very similar, so it's easy to confuse those. So yeah, be careful with splice and slice. But the benefit is I figured that out, and now if I can run my server here, I'll just use whatever browser I got. I now have characters. I have this little highlight thing, which I'll walk through how I did that. And if you click on a character, you activate it, and then you get this nice little thing. And what it's doing in the back is it's solving this path every single time I go over any of these points. And what's cool is I can basically right-click to set a point, and then I can continue on from that point. And that took a little work too, because I basically am creating a buffer of where they selected, and there's tons of bugs, and it was quite a mess. But yeah, you can select other characters, you can move them around, you can move him to there, maybe he wants to go down here, and then you do move, and then it moves the characters where they're supposed to go. So I'm super happy with that. I wasn't expecting to actually get it all working after I realized how much work all this pathing stuff was, but yeah, I'm pretty impressed. And you can keep doing, you can just keep moving them around. Let's go over here. Yeah, how they kind of move across the screen. Pretty neat. So getting there. So let's walk through how that works. So maybe I'll just do a quick refresh on the pathing stuff on the A-star algorithm. I'll do it in TypeScript this time. It's exactly the same, like literally exactly the same as the Go version. I did not try to do any JavaScript funkiness, just, yeah. So you get the start point, the destination point, you have your list of open points. These are the ones that you can visit. You get the minimum node, so this is going to do the distance check to give basically a value that I think it's the bigger the value is the higher priority it is, or the lower, I can't remember which one. Basically, it gives it a sorted result of the higher priority is the one you're going to go to next or inspect next for the neighbors of it. You remove the open point, the one that you're currently on, just so you don't retest it again, and then you add it to the visited points. Obviously, that's important because you don't want to keep visiting the same node over and over again. And node in this case, or point in this case, is an XY coordinate. You check if you're at the destination. If you are, you print out the destination. Otherwise, you call into get neighbor nodes. And neighbor nodes is just going to basically check each node around the one that you're in, whether it's north, south, east, west, etc. And you check if those particular points are walkable. And if they are, then you include it. And if they're not, like the tile is not walkable, and again, I do that same kind of test again. Then you don't include it, and then you return them, and then it gives a nice little list that you iterate over. Oops, over here. You iterate over it, you see if it already contains the visited points, and continue if it does, or you calculate the distance. Again, this is where you're kind of setting the priority of which ones to go to next, and then you add it to your open points to go through the loop again. So that's, again, how the A-star algorithm works, at least this version of it. Yeah. So for testing, I didn't necessarily want to mess with my game, and I didn't want to work with networking stuff. I just wanted to because it's such a complicated thing, getting everything moving and working properly and keeping track of players and characters and movements and buffers. I just basically created a new copy of the game scene and added a ton of stuff to it. So we'll walk through this real quick. So this stuff we've already kind of covered last time, where we generate the tiles. Again, we load the map. We look at actually, let me show the map real quick. Level 1. Again, it's just this stuff of walls and open spaces and stealth places and walls and fences that will offer cover, etc. So this is the map layout. So we load that. This stuff just loads images, so if we basically say, hey, is this a wall? Then yes, use the wall image. Is this an open area? Yes, use the open one, etc. And in preload, we just load all those assets and give them names so we can access them afterwards. Now, in the constructor, when we actually create the game scene, we have this is going to be used for the networking stuff, so it's not important right now. We have to keep track of highlighted stuff and highlighted paths. So this is something that once you have that kind of highlighted path, it needs to destroy it every time you move around. So it's going to recreate it every time. You can't just have it lingering around. To do that, you need a reference to it. So next up, we are going to create our characters. We're just going to hard code them now, where it's just one of each class. Give them a starting location. Again, this will all come from the server in the init message once we get the networking stuff working. And then the game level set, and then the player. And the player takes the characters that are bound to it. This is going to change to have multiple players, because you're going to have, and you're actually going to have two types of players. You're going to have teammate players, and you're going to have opponent players, because the opponent players, sometimes you will not get the latest state from them. You're only going to get the state from your team. If they go into stealth, for example, you're not going to be sent where they're moving in stealth and what they're doing until it comes time to actually play the animations and the stage. So, what's next? We covered preload. We covered generate attributes. This is just setting the fences depending on the X, Y, and the rotation of it. Creating, so to enable right click, we have to disable the context menu. We do that. And I must say, I'm pretty impressed with Phaser 3. They offer a lot of really nice utilities for doing stuff. We bind events on clicks as well as hovers and outs, because we need those for basically removing certain images or adding the pathing, etc. Load the game level, spawn the level. Spawn level basically does that tiling, and it's literally what's drawing the images for each tile. Spawn the player, which I forget what that does. What does that do? Oh, this is what actually puts them on the scene. So it's actually adding their image characters. So there's a player object and now a character object. Is that all I added? Yeah, players and characters. Oh, and movement. And I'll explain all that stuff later. But yeah, so spawn the players and then create my janky little move menu that just has one thing that says move. Yeah, so spawn levels covered. On hover. So, why did I close that? That was dumb. If you remember, you move over a tile, it basically has this nice little highlight. For that, I basically test, okay, are we on a tile? And if we are, then we get the center of it. Again, I'm using XY coordinates for my level map, which is just the XY coordinates of the tiles, but we need the actual pixel values, and that's what this tile center is doing. It's just doing a calculation of the tiles, the value, so the X or Y value multiplied by the tile size, which is 64, and then adding to 32 to get the center of it. So, yeah, so we get the XYs, and then we check if it's walkable. If it is, we basically add a highlight to it. Now, we do a check to see if the character is activated, and what this means is if you left click on the character, they become activated depending on the slot, and if they are, then we draw the path, and in this case we're just drawing white lines. So if we look at that, again, we get the tile information, we get where they clicked or where their mouse is, so we get that XY point. And then we check their location of that player, the last location. So the last location is actually, if you do this and you right click, this tile right here becomes the last location so that you can recalculate the path from that point forward instead of from the beginning of the character's location forward, which is important because I was actually screwing this up. One bug that I had is, actually I think I can demonstrate it real quick. It was really annoying and I couldn't figure it out for a very long time. Where was that? That bug was in movement. So let's walk through the movement real quick. So I have a movement class because there's enough going on that I felt like it required its own little class. And what I have is the movement lines. So I have references to those green lines that you saw. The movement buffer, so every point that they right click to set the movement, I track those with points, and then the actual current location of the character, and then the distance of start I use to basically determine like, hey, can we go any further, yes or no. The add point, so when you right click, it adds the point to the buffer, and this is where I was not doing the proper thing. And what ended up happening is when I was adding the point, getting the path information changes let's look at it real quick, these values, these kind of priority calculations, and I wasn't clearing it, which meant that once I restarted to check from that location where I clicked, so again, if I started here, it's going to use the priority that I found from here to here for the next step over, and it was creating some really wacky results. So I can show if I don't clean it, I think. Let's just do, I can just do this. Let's equal the point. So I think if I do this, see how it reset the highlighted to here, which is kind of weird. It's like, why is it setting it from that point and not here? And if I actually run the animation, it gets even weirder. it like jumps back, and I was like, what is going on? And I just could not figure it out for the life of me until I realized, like, hey, you need to actually like get rid of the priority information, otherwise it's gonna do wackadoodle things when it tries to solve the next node location. In that case, it's like, hey, you need to go backwards first, then you can go forwards, which is totally not right. So clear your data before you put them into a buffer. Good to know. Other methods, very simple stuff, just getting the character location, getting the latest distance, so we can, again, if we set the buffer to a certain point, we need to actually check the entire distance, not just the distance from that point that we just started from. And then we're updating for movement, so once the character actually moves, the move animation completes, then it needs to set it. And then clearing stuff, getting last locations, checking if things exceed the distance, stuff like that. That's pretty straightforward, but yeah, again, it's enough complexity that I wanted it here. Oh, one thing I want to mention as well that I forgot. Remember when I said that testing the client and the server was giving me different results? I wanted to make really sure that my pathing was going to work. So I created tests, and I created a JSON file of like 100,000 iterations, and I just hammered the crap out of what the server gave as a path for a start and endpoint. Yeah, absolutely. What a server gave as the start and endpoint in the path, and the client gives as a start and endpoint as the path. And it passes after like, I don't know, like 60 seconds going through 100,000 iterations of path solving. So I'm 90% confident that they are going to return the same results. There may still be something weird, but I don't think so. So yeah, that was very nice to see. Oh yeah, this is just the test I commented out. So, testing, important. Right, so we have our movement. Where was I? Right, game scene. Yep. So again, we're drawing the path information. We get the last location. We draw the path cells from the player's location to whatever endpoint that the mouse is over. And then we have to reverse it because it's actually, the path is printed out and you just got to go back the other way. And then we just draw the path. Drawing the path was actually pretty straightforward after I figured out how to add lines. In this case, I'm using graphics, and I'm just using the lines between. So it's really simple. Just have an X and Y as the last point, and then the X and Y as the current point, and then just draw a line between them. I could probably reverse these, it doesn't matter, but whatever. And then I keep track of all those graphics because, again, I want to store it or want to display it or render it. And then if they want to, did I demonstrate that you can basically unset? If you click it again, you can reset the path because maybe you made a mistake and you don't like what you chose. So yeah, you can just click it and it'll reset it. But to do that, you need to keep track of them. So I keep track of them in this last point and then the lines that I generated. So once I have that back from draw path info, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it for the highlight. Now when I choose my points, I actually save that endpoint, save the movement lines using that add point that I demonstrated or showed earlier. So yeah, that's pretty much how movement works, and yeah, it works quite well. Some other things that I kind of realized, I didn't explain how character selection works. So we have a concept of a player, and the player is going to keep track of the characters. In most cases, if you're doing a 3v3 match, it's going to be one character in one slot. If it's a 1v1, you're going to have control over all three characters. So when you click on a character, it activates it depending on that slot. And or if you've already clicked on them, it'll deactivate them. And then it sets basically an active character as a property. And then from that active property, you can like check if it's activated or call its movement or get its movement object and work with it, clear its lines, etc. Actually, I don't even think I use that anymore, but whatever. Or you can get all characters. So player is pretty dumb right now, but once I start adding in attack stuff and the other abilities, this is probably going to explode a bit with complexity as well as the character. The character is also pretty straightforward, where you have the character ID, the avatar, which is just the image, the slot that it's in, and then its movement object. And then again, depending on the type, it's going to return a different type of image for the character ID. And that's pretty much all it does. It just spawns it and then returns the movement. So it doesn't really keep track of movement. That's all done there. And probably attack stuff will also be in here, because I'm going to have to, again, buffer up those attacks, because there could be multiple abilities that you can use in a certain round or a specific round. Yeah, so it's looking pretty solid so far. And what else? That's pretty much it. I think covers all that I've done, which was a lot more than I was expecting to get done. But yeah, I'm super happy where I'm at. So what's next? Next is going to be getting networking working for these players, so I can actually have two browsers and they can actually like move around each other. So I think that's where I'll go. Oh, and one other thing is I'm on the edge if I want to continue using, I mean, it's really nice because it's super quick to knock stuff out, but I really just want to hop into Unreal Engine soon, because like, this is great and all, but I don't know, I'd rather see stuff working in Unreal, but I'm kind of on the edge. And that brings me to another point, is there's another game mode that I'm going to implement, which is, if any of you have ever played chess.com, they have this concept of like dailies or daily matches. And what it lets you do is you can basically open up a match and say, I want to make a move at least within 24 or 48 hours or whatever, 72 hours. And then someone says, hey, I want to do the same thing. You create a match, and then you can literally just make one move and they can just shut your phone off and go away for a day. Which is, if Wordle has taught us anything, it's that people are tired or unable to sit down for long periods of time to play games. They just want to open up, do something real quick, and then that's it. They want to just move on with life, which I think this type of game is perfect for. When Atlas Reactor was around, that kind of concept wasn't too popular because everyone is like full-on MOBA. They were competing with Here's the Storm and League of Legends, so they obviously kind of failed because of that. They didn't think like, oh, you know, we can make this like a game where you could just play kind of nonchalantly, you know. So I think I'm going to try to do that as well, because that's what I want. I want a game where I can just like play for a couple of minutes and then I'm done with it. So you could have like 6 or 7 matches going on at once. You could just flip through them, make your moves in the morning, and then just, yeah, do whatever. And then at the nighttime, make a move again, and then that's it. So that's going to be definitely one of the major features of this game. But I need to get networking working first. So let's take a look at getting that working. So I'm going to need to basically copy this into my real game. I don't think there's anything, I think I have everything I need. I think I'm just going to rename this to Battleometry class and just move it over. Alright, so this is called Battleometry. Didn't delete anything. Hold on. I wonder if I can compare these two. Let's move split rate, diff. I thought I had a diff. Oh, compare text with visible editors. Okay. I have the same exact one open in both editors. That's why it's not doing anything. All right, game versus game test. Compare visible. There we go. So test game scene has, oh wait, no, this is, right. Okay, so this one, that has that, that has that. So it looks like nothing was deleted, only added and formatted. Yep. All right, so I guess I can basically, cool. I can just rename this to Battleometry. Save that, delete this, rename this game. Ta-da. What the hell is importing this? Sure. whatever. Oh, that's what it was. Get rid of that. Oh, what am I doing? Cool. Dependencies updated, reloading page. Cannot find module game or its corresponding. Should be battlemetry. Export default class. It shouldn't need to. Import game scene. Thank you. That is kind of weird because it looks like it's actually working in it. Maybe the IDE is just kind of bonkers. Oh, I'm not actually running a server. Ha! Where is my server? Should make a make file. I don't remember how to make the server. Go run room. Or go build. Geometry. I'm not in the right directory. Make sure everything's working here. Didn't get any errors. Create group, character, enter queue. Did not say entered queue, which is not a good sign. Oh no, I got something back. I guess I just need to open up another window. 0 users in queue. Hold on, I'm gonna shut this down. Copy that. Let's go. Oh, maybe it isn't working. Unable to open game not found. Something really weird's going on here. Can I undo that delete? Update imports. Yes. Yeah. I'm just going to do this. Whatever. So where is, there we go, menu scene. Oh, why does it take it from there? Now it's not fine. Okay. See the same thing for menu? Nope, I can open menu. Okay. Very strange. So if we open this up, make sure that we're connecting. It's not, there it goes, jeez. 440, whatever. Great group. Character 1, character 2, character 3, enter queue. Oh, I think I removed the... I did remove some stuff. So hold on. Go back. Yep, there we go. That stuff. Oh, what was that even in? That was in create. So inside of create, I need to game loaded response. So what's interesting is here I should already have my player information. So I don't think I'm going to get it. Oh, I'm going to get it on init. Right, it's been a while since I looked at this network stuff. I forgot how it worked. Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. Okay, so now I think I just copy this back over again. And then create should still have that. Where is create? Right, init game response. Game response loaded, and then I still feel like I'm missing some network stuff here. Create group, create character, character 2, character 3, enter queue. Yeah, there's something missing with this enter queue. But that's all menu. That shouldn't be... Oh, what happens if I create another one? IP address of my machine changed. So I just got a message on the stream. Started watching uni, but watching you think about programming and the process behind is great. Yeah, glad it helps. I hope my process works for you, because it's kind of working for me in most cases. Yeah, so my VM or WSL changes the IP address every time, and right now I'm just hard coding the address, so I need to copy that back into my game. I should really just have it like automatically figure this out. I haven't really put much thought into it. Menu, oh, I think it's, is it here? Socket? Sockets, where are you? Where am I opening my connection? WS, there we are. Yeah, for Go is not too popular for game stuff, to be honest. I just chose it because I like it. TypeScript, if you're going to use like phaser and stuff, it seems to be pretty popular. But yeah, most people are, it's either C# or C++ for game stuff. And my thoughts on game dev versus traditional software engineer, I mean, that's totally up to you, man. Like, software engineer is like, you could be doing a billion different things. Like, you will not be doing the same thing as someone else. You could be writing CRUD web apps, like create, replace, update, or whatever. Or you could be working on banking stuff. Like, it really depends on what you're looking into. I went into more security stuff, so I come from a security background, and I just enjoy game dev, so I'm doing it on the side. But yeah, game dev has a lot of, it's got a bad rap. It's a pretty brutal industry, so if you don't mind working long hours and stuff, by all means, check it out. Or if you just want to do it as a hobby, which is what I'm doing, also check it out. It's fun. I really enjoy the problem solving, but yeah, it's a pretty brutal industry, just to be honest with you. Okay, so did I paste that in right? Yeah, okay. So I should have connections now. JSON response. Perfect. Enter Q. Q entered. That was one. Boop, 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 boop. Enter Q. Enter Q. Nothing happened. Why did nothing happen? Oh. Index out of range. Not a good sign. Oh, game start data. Yeah, so I haven't really tested this stuff yet. What is this doing? In fact, I haven't even like looked at this stuff in a while because I've been doing front end stuff for so long now. Where am I? Game start data defines the spawn points. Oh. Player locations. I got index out of range. That makes me think that it's not actually been created properly. I mean, player locations team ID. Yeah, so player locations probably hasn't been initialized. I commented it out. Might have something to do with that. Oh, spawn. Okay, I'm gonna have to like not do client-side stuff because I need to remember what I was doing for the server side. So if we take a look back, look at our mermaid charts, refresh our memories. Happy loop. All right, so we have group 1 and group 2. Server starts the game, tells the world, or in our case, session, begin play. Start with level group states, send that to group 1. Group 2, game loaded ready message. Start the timer for the round. Timer started for group 1, timer started for group 2. They choose their actions, server validates it, accepts them. Same with group 2. Time's up, run the game, send the state to the results of all the actions that every player chose, and then wait for the animations to complete for each one, and then restart the round. Okay, so that's what we're doing for the world. Now, game world is not doing so hot because I started changing stuff and I don't remember what. So I am initializing it. So it creates a new game world, got the player locations, got a session, begin play. Okay, so begin play, I believe, is what's, yeah, that's broadcasting the messages. 1v1 session is what calls it from a session manager. So we know that the session stuff's fine, game session's fine. Oops. 1v1 session begin play, world begin play. Ugh, all the references. Game start data. So something about my data is not right. Session team 1. Team ID is 0. Make the spawn points. Why would I get a index out of range error here? What the heck? It can only be 0, and I definitely initialized it. Unless I didn't call new game world. And also, what is this? Wait, where did I crash? 62? Crash before calling team start data, so that shouldn't even matter that I had that commented out. For player, player spawn points. Right, cannot use spawn point. Wait, oh. Have a pointer. Or have a non-pointer. Why is that a pointer? There should be a pointer. Player locations is definitely a pointer. What is spawn point then? Spawn point comes from the server, which is not giving me a pointer. No. Spawn point comes from level spawn points, which is .2d, coming from the game level. Oh. Has the game level? Yeah, the game level's been created at this point. Alright, you know what? We'll do the old-fashioned way. Well, first off, I'm just going to give you a reference to it. Or a pointer to it. And then just run it again. Build it. Always build. Don't paste garbage. Oh, it just added both clients. Ah, crap. Refresh. Refresh. Create group, character 1, character 2, character 3, enter queue. Boop, 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 boop. Enter queue, and I think it just crashed again. Okay, so we definitely got something weird going on here. Game world. Good old-fashioned spew. Spew done. New player locations. Get that bad boy out. Let's see what he's saying. Doing IT, more security courses available and whatnot. I was thinking of going to cybersecurity. Yeah, AppSec. There's information security programming stuff is, there's a lot of stuff you could choose from. Yeah, I would, getting into software with a knack for security stuff, you will definitely make a lot more money if that's what your goal is. Or if you're looking for more interesting problems, also security stuff is very a good thing to get into. So I would highly recommend looking at various application stuff. There's like CTFs you can do, like basically hacking for legal reasons, bug bounty stuff, and then just write programs and software or tools to help you out, and you will be well on your way. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Yeah, index out of range, because Length is 0. Team ID is 0. I know it's 0. Alright, this time we're going to spew it out. Failed, yeah, they reconnected and added. Boom. It is empty. Am I not creating this? Is New World not being called? Player locations. That's what's crashing, right? Player locations of Game World. Yep. Oh, come on. 1v1 session, new Game World. Should probably make a test for this so I can debug it. Which is weird because I don't remember changing anything. Man. Game World, new Game World, player locations. That. Game start data. What is calling that again? Game Worlds begin play. Total size, spawn data team 1, team data. Team 1, get their session. I mean, I'm sure this is something stupid again. I'm just like looking at this wrong. Make a point with max slots. Probably don't need to do that, but oh no, I do need to do that because team start date is going to fill out those slots. So it's going to iterate over, get the character, get the slot, give him a spawn point, give him the spawn data. Oh, this is what changed from last time. Last time I was sending all of the data to both teams, which is definitely a big no-no. You don't want to do that. You only want to send the data specific for the team. So that's what changed. I just don't know why it's causing player locations to all of a sudden get indexed out of range. Like I'm making it. I know it's out of range. Hold on, what if I do this? Player. See what they make. Point to be. I mean, no, it shouldn't have to do that. Also, calling new Game World, definitely making player locations. New line. And then pull that out just so I can, yeah. Start these guys. And you. Good Lord. Yep, definitely making player locations. Match started between blah and blah. Thanks for the thumbs up there, Wraith Kaiser. Appreciate it. And good night. All right. Oh, man. This is something. This is something. Game start data. I've never had a... Okay, let's just remake it. Right? Am I like totally... Player locations, point data. It definitely made it. And I'm assigning to that new index. Wait a minute. Yup. I need to append because it's making a size of 0. Make size 0. Can't assign to a 0 array. Makes sense, right? How many locations am I going to have? 6? Be max slots, right? No. Is that per team or is that total? I think that's total. Alright, so there should be 6. Max slots times 2. 1 for each player. Player or character? I should probably rename this because it gets confusing when you're thinking about a player versus a character, because a player can have multiple characters. I want to say this is supposed to be, how am I using it? Player locations, team ID. I'm going to say this is character locations. This is why naming is important, because you can think totally different things depending on the name of a variable. 1 for each character. That should no longer crash. I definitely don't want to do that. Okay. Enter Q, boop, 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 boop. Didn't crash. Nice. Didn't load the map though. I must have deleted something else from the client. I shouldn't have any more users in queue though. That's kind of weird. Oh, that one got all screwed up. Let's redo this. All right. They're re-added. Create group. Character, enter. Oh no, it crashed again. Okay, at least it crashed. Okay, it crashed somewhere else. Nice. Crashing somewhere else is progress in my case. Yeah, okay, I figured this would be it. Character locations, I don't think I'm making this part yet. So character locations now also needs to be initialized, which I don't think I'm doing. Wait, wasn't I doing it here? Yeah, I was doing it here. Oh, max slots 3 for the team ID. Team ID, character ID. That's why I crashed, right? 87? Yeah. Index at range 3 out of 3. So that makes me think, am I giving it too much data? Spawn point is returning a point 2D. Character ID, where is that being incremented? Get character. Oh, wait, what? I should only have 2 characters. Like, I don't have more than character ID. New character. Is anything calling us? No implementation. Don't want it. Okay, here we go. Ah, you dummy. Dumb. Alright, 0, 1, 2. That way it's indexed. I'm going to have to change that at some point. I don't think that's a good idea using the index for the character, but whatever. For now, it'll work. State manager. Alright, it should just work now. It should just no longer be out of index. Great group. Did I not? Hold on, let me, you guys restart. I want you fresh. Alright, great group. Start from the beginning. Whoa, I crashed somewhere else. Group 1v1 lock character. Oh, I must be doing something because I just changed those values. Man, I'm gonna have to really. Again, I haven't looked at the server code in like literally since Wednesday. So, and even that I was just looking at the the pathing stuff, so I'm just so not used to what I wrote already. Right, so process client message, process group message, group one, view one, lock character. It tried to, what did it try to do? Broadcast? Was this returning? What the hell was one? Character ID 3. That's also kind of weird. Character, lock character called true, true to, and then lock character. Caused a invalid memory. I'm guessing on ID. I bet when it goes to create the character now, I'm creating the wrong one. G, alright. I don't even remember how I'm creating characters. How do I even create characters? New group character selected. That's for selecting character. Yeah, so I should get it there. Set character, character ID. Oh, maybe I'm sending it on the client side too, which client should not be able to crash server, but where is it? Test, where's the menu? Character ID 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. One, 0. Obviously, there would be validation done here to make sure that I wouldn't get indexed out of the whatever. But yeah, I will do that later. Also, I'm going to fuzz the crap out of this thing to make sure it doesn't crash. But again, later. So now that the IDs are properly aligning, it should no longer crash, at least there. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, perfect time. Look at that. Right on the time where I'm supposed to stop. So this isn't really working yet. Like I don't. Oh, dude, it kind of is. Oh, that is dope. That is so cool. Loving it. Okay. So when you click move, everybody move. What it doesn't have is this isn't actually bound to anything yet. Because again, all that spawn data right now is hard coded. No, wrong one. Is hard coded. But what it's going to do is the server is going to say, I scan the map, here's your spawn points. It'll randomize them a bit probably. Send that information to the clients. The clients will then basically spawn their characters. The initial round, the team will not see the opposing team's spawn locations. Only after the first round, once they move and they become within their area of concern or area of interest, will the data start flowing between them. And then if they're on a stealth slot, the information will not be sent to the opponent team. But yeah, I think this is cool. That means I can get the secondary, I can build out the client-side players and then all the characters and give them control, and then I can have two clients start moving around each other, which will be fun. So yeah, I think that's it for tonight. Yeah, I'll see you all Wednesday for the whatever recording that you watch this on. Thanks.